What's up, guys? It's three-time NFL Pro Bowler, all-decade return specialist, Josh Cribbs. I want to welcome you to the College Sports Connection podcast, where Double A, Alex, and AJ host the Mid-American Conference best.
Everybody, welcome back to the College Sports Connection podcast. I'm your host, Alex the Captain. Joining me, as always, it's AJ the Guru.
What's going on, everybody?
AJ, welcome back. We took a couple weeks off here, but we've been a little bit busy traveling from Central Michigan lacrosse to Northern Illinois spring football. Been a few busy weeks for us.
Just a little bit. You were up to CMU. We both made the trip to NIU. I was in Colorado at one point, so we've been all over the place. And it's good to be back in studio. We have a very special guest joining us today, our second representative from the University of Buffalo. She was just hired as the 13th coach in the women's basketball program on April 6th. So just about a month ago. Mm-hmm. She played at Louisville, played in a Sweet 16, played in a national championship. We're going to get into all of that. Coach Becky Burke, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. No, honor to have you. We're definitely excited. Shortly after you got hired, we tweeted something about you getting hired. We immediately got that follower and like, this doesn't happen very often. So very excited to have you on the show.
I try to begin with the follow backs, show the love back for my people.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure.
So Coach, we just talked about it a little bit ago, April 6th is the hiring day, just about a month ago. How's the transition? Do you have the business cards yet? Are you set into the office? How's that going?
Well, no business cards yet. And I would hardly say settled in. I don't think we've had time to even think about settling or breathing for that matter. But we just came in and had to hit the ground running right away. Mm-hmm. Recruiting. It's been a whirlwind, but I mean, that's kind of the nature of taking a new position and this day and age with taking a new job and somebody else leaving, there's going to be changes with personnel mm-hmm. and rosters and having to build your staff. I mean, all that stuff just takes time. And so sure. I just have not had enough hours during the day to get everything done. But hopefully we start getting some of that taken care of and the days start getting a little less hectic. But right now that's the nature of it. And I'm super fortunate. So
talk to us a little bit about the interview process, because Alex and I come from the corporate world where we fill out a paper application, turn it in, and go for an interview. I'm assuming that's not the case for you. So how does that process go? Does Buffalo reach out to you and saying, hey, what are your thoughts on this position? We'd love to have you in, and kind of that process from there?
Yeah, it actually started with just a really, really good initial conversation with Mark Allnut, obviously. And, I think in these searches, like a lot of athletic directors and athletic departments go different routes. Some people use search firms. Some people just go by word of mouth. Some people just reach out to their friends and ask, who are the big names in the business right now and the up and comers and things like that. It was just super organic and natural the way that Mark kind of reached out to me, and I appreciated the process with him because it was very straightforward. It was very natural. It was really just conversations. It was I never felt like I was interviewing, if that makes sense. So Mark and I think our visions just really, really aligned, and it never felt like an interview with him. It never felt like I was, quote unquote interviewing. It really just felt like just natural and easy, and just having a conversation with somebody that wanted the same thing that I did. And so I appreciated the process. I've had an opportunity to go through this process with a number of different schools in the last, few years and throughout my career. And this is by far the easiest and most natural process that I've been a part of.
So how long from that initial interview was it until you were announced? Did they just kind of know, or did you guys kind of know at that point, like this was a good fit? How long was that interim between the interview and the announcement?
Yeah, it went really, really fast. I would say less than 2 weeks, the entire thing. And again, everybody's got their own process, and every university, every athletic director does it different. But that's another one of the things that I appreciated about Mark is from the very initial phone call, I felt like I was his girl. From the very, very initial phone call, I was like, he wants me here, and I'm his person. And you're lying to yourself if at any point in life, you act like you don't want to feel that way. You know what I mean? And for anything, for a job, for in a relationship, and whatever it is, you want to feel wanted, right? And like from the very, very beginning of this process, I felt like I was the person he wanted to run this program. And there was never really any question for me how he felt towards me or about my abilities to be the head coach here.
So after that phone call, did you go buy that blue power suit? Because that was pretty impressive. I'm willing to bet you didn't have that in your closet, did you?
Literally, that was such a last minute. Like, I was in the mall. My flight got delayed to get to Buffalo, and I had an outfit picked. And I was in the mall the day I was getting ready to fly to Buffalo because I had to waste some time before my flight. And I wasn't even in the mall just shopping for anything. And like, it was the last store that I passed, like on my way to the parking garage. And I look in the window and I just see this blue suit. And I'm like, this is literally a sign that I need to go get this thing right now. So I wasn't even looking, but it happened to like just jump out at me and find its way to me. So I was like, all right, it's a sign. It's meant to be. But I did get a lot of good feedback on it. So I was happy about that.
There you go.
So obviously getting hired from Buffalo takes you away from another school, USC Upstart. What was that conversation like with the program there and the team there that you were leaving? I mean, obviously that's not an easy conversation, but what did that look like? What was that transition like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've had to do it a couple of times throughout my career, and it's not easy and it's not comfortable at all by any means. And it's really a bittersweet type situation because you're really excited about your next opportunity and you're really excited about what's to come in your future. And, you know, in a sense, making an upward move, but also at the same time, you think about, okay, well, I still have to have this conversation with my staff, my players, the administration, the people that believed in me, that put me even in a position to be able to get a job like Buffalo, And so it's difficult. It's delicate. It's heavy for these 18 to 21-year-olds that, despite, what anybody says in terms of like, oh, I'm choosing a school for my education and to get a great degree. Like, yes, that's part of it. But when you're a basketball player, you're choosing a university for the coaches. And you're choosing a university to go play for that coaching staff, and the relationship that you have with them is so much of why you choose to go to school where you do. So I'm very sympathetic towards that, and that being the reason that a lot of the players were at Upstate was because of myself and my staff and the relationships that we built with them. So you can only imagine having those conversations where you're not going to be there anymore. It rocks their world. It turns their world upside down. And I'm just super transparent. I just try to cut to the chase and tell them as directly as I can, because me, beating around the bush, stalling, delaying the inevitable is not going to make it any easier. So it's best to just come out and say it and just really be as transparent as possible with them.
Sure. So you're taking over a program who Alex and I got to watch last year, the MAC championship, the tournament, and coming off a MAC championship tournament, like losing a few players to the portal, to graduation and whatnot. I know you had to rebuild a staff. You're in the dead period of recruiting now. How has this been? Is it a complete 180 from what you've done in previous schools because it is a larger scale program? It's more nationally recognized. More people know Buffalo, and your ability to recruit. I'm imagining I guess your ability to travel and go different places is probably a little more different. So how has that been, and connecting with players and whatnot over this time?
Yeah, I think what a lot of people don't know is like we just inherited a program. We have 5 players on our roster. We have 5 players returning, and I think a lot of people just think, oh, she's taking over the MAC champion. Like, our locker room we're not the MAC champions right now. We've got 5 kids, and if it's just those 5, we're not good enough to win a championship in this league as it stands. Now, I think they're 5 really good pieces, but we need more. And we've done a good job, really getting some early signees and getting some kids in here that can help us right away, but we're not done. We still need to sign some more players. It's just very, very different than anything I've taken over in the past, because I've taken over programs that have struggled, and I've taken over programs that have needed immediate help recruiting and had to sign a bunch of kids, but never a program that just came off a championship and now had to do that. So it's very different just in terms of like, I just think people need to understand and realize what we are taking over. And it's not the same team that Felicia just left. It's just not. I think we will be highly competitive. I think we'll be in the conversation for a MAC championship. I think we're going to do all of those things. It's just going to look a lot different. I think we're going to have to do it by committee. I think we're going to have some depth. I think we're going to have to get creative. I think we're going to have to be all of the subcategories. We're going to have to win those. We're going to have to be in better shape. We're going to have to be tougher. We're going to have to be better prepared, because I just don't think on paper it's going to look like it did last year in terms of just natural ability and talent, just because of taking over a program with 5 people in that locker room and having to do the best we can with this portal for right now. Now, our class of 23, we're going to knock that thing out of the park. Class of 24 is going to be a home run, all that. But just from what we have to do right now to remain competitive in this league, I think we've done enough. I think we'll get a couple more pieces. I think we'll be in the conversation. It's just going to look a lot different.
So I wanted to ask about that. You mentioned, getting a few more pieces. What's it like trying to kind of re-recruit the girls who are already on the team, especially with the ease and the access of the transfer portal? I mean, players it's a lot different than it was 10 years ago. Players can just pretty much get up and go at their leisure. So kind of talk about the challenges of re-recruiting the players who are already there to stay, on top of recruiting new players, on top of trying to pull in girls from the transfer portal.
Yeah, that's part of the there's not enough hours in the day conversation with well, luckily we've reached the May 1st deadline. So there's a May 1st deadline that you need to enter your name into the transfer portal by May 1st in order to not have to sit out a year. So if you can make it to that May 1st deadline, there's not going to be a whole lot of additional names going in after May 1st. So it's kind of nice that we made it to May 1st. We have the group of players that's bought in and that want to be here and that are really truly about what we're about. But I didn't re-recruit those players. I came in and said, this is what we stand for. These are our expectations. These are our standards. And this is how this program is going to be run. And if you want to be a part of this, you're more than welcome. If not, let's just agree right now, this is not the place for you. Because if you're going to force a kid to abide by rules and standards and expectations that they don't want to, or that they didn't sign up for, it's going to be a struggle. It's not going to be a happy marriage, And so just coming in and really laying down what we're going to be about, how we're running this program and what it's going to look like, and then letting them make that decision themselves. I don't care how good you are. If you're not about the things that we're going to be about here at Buffalo from this point forward, then it's just best that we part ways now. And that's the conversations that we had. We've got 5 that are bought in, that really, really want to be here, that are embracing the change, embracing everything that we're going to do differently. And that are, like I said, completely 2 feet in. And then it was our job to then go get the players that we are familiar with, that we're comfortable with, that we recruit out of the portal, that are about those same things. So that's what we've done, and like I said, it's a lot of figuring out who's here, who's going to stay. And then once you figure out who that is, which we did, finding out what pieces we need to put around those guys. And I think we've done a good job, and we've just got a couple more spots to fill. And I think we'll be looking pretty good.
You mentioned a few times there's not enough time in the day. What is your day-to-day like with 5 players? Your workouts, you're practicing, are you on the court? Are you in the film room? Kind of talk to us a little bit about your day-to-day with your team that you have right now.
Yeah, right now it's a lot of player meetings, getting to know them again, just getting familiar, getting comfortable, building relationships, spending time with them. To be honest, we spend a lot of time recruiting. We spend a lot of time on a lot of visits on campus and flying kids in and, getting them some teammates. But as far as our players go and what we're doing on the floor right now, they're in the weight room. We're in individual skill work. So we're using the hours that we're allotted right now on the court, in the weight room, meeting, doing things like that. But again, we've got to start to form relationships with all these guys. We don't know them. They don't know us. And that stuff's got to be formed kind of naturally and organically and can't really be forced. So really just trying to spend as much time as we can getting to know them in between recruiting visits. And it's been really, really busy, but it's all been really good, really exciting.
So obviously we hit this dead period. Kind of talk to us about that, because we're not familiar with the different dead periods and what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do. I think we saw a graphic the other day. I think you maybe retweeted it, or a couple of the coaches have retweeted it, where you guys can't talk, text, tweet, Facebook, anything with any of the recruits for a set period of time. What's the significance of that when it seems like it's only 6 days?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question. I think we would all love to know, is that why do you randomly take a week of recruiting away from us in the middle of the transfer portal season? It's I don't know. I think we'd all like to know that. I think there's a lot that goes into it. I think they want there to be a balance, like a work-life balance. I think they want to give the players a week of essentially a break from being recruited and being on the phone and doing those things. And I think they want to give coaches a break as well. So I think there's pros and cons to it. For us right now, I probably think there's more cons, because we still need to be recruiting and we need to be really, really figuring out our roster at this point, but it can be delayed a week and this week gives us time to wrap things up with our players, finish postseason workouts, get them ready for finals. And like I said, I think there's pros and cons to it, but just got to go with it. Nothing we can do about it. But again, somebody in our position and a staff in our position, we would really like to be recruiting right now. That's for sure.
So how has recruiting changed since you were being recruited back in the late 2000s? I mean, Louisville's not a slouch when it comes to basketball. So you have a coach sitting across from you. Now you're that coach sitting across from that player. Those conversations still pretty similar, or are you selling now more to the parents than you are the player, or vice versa?
Yeah, I don't think the conversations have changed very much. I think every staff is different. Every coach is different in terms of how they recruit. And like, I don't ever use the word sell. Like, I don't use the word sell. I'm not trying to sell anything. I am trying to be who I am at the University at Buffalo and tell you who we are and what we have. But by no means am I trying to sell it. If I have to sell it, then I'm one, probably not telling you the truth, or I'm, probably exaggerating some different things, but I don't think you should have to sell. I think you should be your authentic self. I think you should be who you are, show and really, really give people good insight of what the situation is at Buffalo. But in terms of like selling, I don't think that's what we ever try to do. I think we just are ourselves, and it's for some people and it's not for others. And it's what people are looking for, or it's not, and that's what the recruiting process is about. That's why these kids go on visits. That's why they get to explore their options, is because they just truly have to figure out what's best for them and make that decision for themselves. So, no, I think everybody does it different. I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way. I don't think it's black and white. I think there's a lot of gray areas in recruiting and how it's best done and what works best for you and your staff. But my staff and I, we try to be authentic. We try to be real. We try to explain who we are and what we are, not sugarcoat anything, because at the end of the day, you want it to be a great fit on both ends. I don't want to tell people that we have things that we don't, or we're a certain way that we're not, because then when they get there, it's not going to be a good fit. Let's really figure this out on the front end before you get here, to make sure that when you do get here, it's the right fit for both parties.
So have you, obviously you've not been at Buffalo very long. It's been a month. Have you had a chance to have conversations with the other women's basketball coaches in the conference? And if not, when do you expect that to happen? Is that going to be a summer thing, or has this all just been focusing on recruiting and building what you have?
The time that I did get to kind of meet and introduce myself, or vice versa, was when we went out recruiting about like two weekends ago. We went out, there was a big recruiting event. So I got to meet quite a few coaches from the league. But other than that, I really haven't gotten to really, talk to any of them yet, besides those few that were on the road recruiting. So I think that stuff kind of happens while you're on the road recruiting, while you're sitting in gyms. And then just obviously throughout your first season, as you travel, as you get to go introduce yourself in person to these people, and get to know them that way. But it usually takes a season or two to get familiarized with the coaches in your league. And, I will say though, the local coaches have been great, Canisius, Niagara, those guys have been really, really good in terms of introducing themselves, letting me know if I ever need anything to reach out. So I've definitely felt welcomed and felt very comfortable.
That's awesome. And I guess in talking to out of league coaches, talk about building the schedule for next year. What does that process kind of look like? Obviously you've done this at your other stops where you've had, I imagine you've had a hand in building that schedule. Do you kind of look to do home and home series? Do you do one-off series? What kind of coaches, what kind of schools do you look to play and to challenge your team with?
Yeah, we actually were handed a schedule that was fairly complete, and so I'm thankful for that. But we had to add a few games, and it's all about what makes sense to you and what your team is, and who you are and what you expect going into the season. Like, I don't think you schedule the same every single year. I think you have different goals, and I think you have different things you want to accomplish in your scheduling and your non-conference, based on what your team looks like and what your identity is. And I think we just inherited a roster of 5 players, and we're bringing probably 9 new ones in to join those 5. And so we're going to be a team that's going to really need to grow up in a hurry. That's going to have to learn to play together quickly. That's going to have to learn an entire new system. Everybody's going to have to learn that system. I mean, so I think I'm having a different conversation with you right now in terms of what I'm thinking scheduling this year versus what I'm probably going to be thinking in 2 years from now, where I've got a locker room full of players that have been in my system that maybe we're a little further ahead than we are at this point in time. But I think we need to build their confidence. I think we need some wins early. I think we really need to get them believing in themselves early, and then you challenge yourself as you get rolling a little bit. So there's a method to the madness, and I think this year we're just dealing with a team that's not necessarily going to be young, because I think we're going to have some veteran experience. It's just not in this program or for our staff or playing together. You know, we're all coming from different places and really need to be that cohesive unit that can play together really well as fast as possible.
So, I mean, you've been to a few different schools. You've held a wide variety of really kind of interesting jobs in being a recruiting coordinator, strength and conditioning coach, responsible for player development, scouting, scheduling. Done just about all of it. Is there one thing you haven't done yet in basketball?
To be honest, I do not think so. I literally think I have done pretty much every title you could have or every responsibility. But I'll do that here at Buffalo too. Like
Sure.
I'm not above any task or any job duty or anything that needs to be done. And I think that's the reason that I've gotten this far in my career so far at a young age, is that because I'm not above anything. Like let's all work together. Let's make it happen. Let's help each other out. We're a team. So if anything needs to be done, just because I'm the head coach doesn't mean I'm above doing it or helping get it done. And I take a lot of pride in that. So if we need to sweep the floors, we're sweeping the floors. If I need to order t-shirts for summer, like I don't care. Whatever needs to be done, I'm going to help get it done and really do my best to make sure that it's a team effort, because I think that's the way that you're most effective.
Sure. Have you looked at it yet? I mean, being so young in a sport where coaches are there at schools forever. You look at the Genos, you look at the Muffet McGraws, the Pat Summits, they're there at the schools for 30, 40 years. And you're 32 years old coaching Division I. Have you had a chance to kind of sit back and be like, okay, this has happened so fast, but I wouldn't want it any other way?
Oh, I literally count my blessings every day. I think I'm so fortunate. I'm so blessed. I'm so lucky. The stars have aligned in my life and in my career. And I just think about how many people would love to be in my shoes. How many people would love to have the success that I've had. Yes, I work hard. Yes, I think I'm pretty good at my craft, but I think a lot of things have gone my way. I think I've been very, very blessed. I think I've had a lot of people help me, a lot of good people in my circle, a lot of great advice. I'm just very fortunate, and I don't take this for granted. And I know how many people would love to be me right now. And so that's the way I work every day. Like there's 1,000 people that would love to have your job. There's 1,000 people that would love to be you know? And so I really try to go in every single day with that work ethic and that mentality about what I'm doing, where I'm at. And one thing's for sure is like, I'm going to work my butt off. There's going to be no question that we put in the work, and we did what we needed to do here, and we put our best foot forward. Like that will not be a question with me. So, like I said, I'm fortunate. I'm very, very lucky. I'm very blessed. I don't take this for granted, and I will never not be thankful for this opportunity.
There's one school I have to ask though, of all the great basketball schools in this country, especially here in the Midwest, how did you end up in Rensselaer, Indiana? Because I live in Indiana.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
I took a college visit there.
My journey and I did not care. I don't care if I was in the middle of a cornfield, which I was literally in the middle of a cornfield. No, I didn't care. I wanted my foot in the door. I wanted an opportunity to coach, be really, really involved. And that's where I felt the best fit was for that year in that moment. And I knew it wasn't going to be very long. That's where I needed to be. That's where God put me. And like I said, when I say the stars aligned, like if you literally, you probably have my resume or whatever in front of you, like it's crazy, my journey and my path and how I ended up here. It really, really, truly is. And again, I think everything happens for a reason, and I'm so thankful for it. But Rensselaer, Indiana, that's part of my journey. I own it. I loved my time there. I met some of the best people in this profession there. And yes, like it's crazy how it happened, but I'm very, very thankful for my 1 year there for sure.
Absolutely. Because I'm from Indiana, and I did a college visit there in 2010 or so. And it was so funny. We saw this on your profile here because we had Tim Lester on about 2 months ago, the head football coach at Western, and he coached at St. Joe way back in the day. So we started talking about it and whatnot. And he goes, I kid you not, every coaching conference I go to, anybody I ever talk to, either coached at St. Joe or has ties to St. Joe. And
that's crazy.
He goes, it's across the country, not just in the Midwest. He could be in California and somebody knows about the St. Joe Pumas. Obviously, campus is closed now, but he goes, people know that one stoplight town and they have some tie to it.
It's so
schools.
crazy. If people really truly knew how small that town was, it's insane. I've never seen a smaller town in my life so far. Like that's the smallest town. But the sunsets there, phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I have a big appreciation for farmers now. So there was a lot of really cool things that came from that, I guess, for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the light in that town's a blinking light, honestly. I don't think it's even red, yellow.
It is. You don't even have to fully stop. That's how you know
don't.
it's small.
That's how small it is.
You're rolling through that. Yeah.
So let's switch from Becky Burke, the coach, to Becky Burke, the Louisville player, the high school player, the 3-point contest player. Let's shift gears to that a little bit and talk about your recruiting journey. Obviously, you were Pennsylvania Class 4A Player of the Year your senior year by the Associated Press. You had over 2,100 points in your high school career. What kind of recruiting process did you go through as a player? How many schools reached out to you and said, "Hey, we want you to come play basketball"? What did that look like for you?
It was pretty hectic. It was pretty busy from an early age. And, I was super fortunate to just, have the talent that I had and be recognized fairly early. And, I went through the process. I ended up committing really, really early my sophomore year in high school. So I got to go through that process probably from like 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. And had I let it go and draw out further and I didn't commit so early, it probably would have been even crazier. But I'm so thankful that I was recruited in the day and age that I was, and that the rankings and offers and all these things were not posted on social media when I was growing up. Like, I just can't imagine the pressure and the expectations and just what these kids these days go through from a social media standpoint, just comparing themselves to others and feeling bad if somebody gets an offer and they don't. Like, I really am just so thankful that my process, I was one of the fortunate ones who had a lot of attention and a lot of offers and things like that, but I didn't post it on social. There wasn't even social media when I was going through it, so I wasn't seeing who I was being compared to, who I was being ranked against, having to have 5 highlight tapes every week made of me to put it out there for content. Like, I just really can't imagine this being recruited this day and age, because I know how busy and stressful it was when I was doing it. And it's just completely different now. So, it was crazy. It was hectic. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel like $1,000,000. But again, it's pretty stressful.
Now, you were a part of Coach Wall's first recruiting class, correct?
Yes, I was. We joke that I was the first 4-year survivor for sure. So,
I mean, you're in Pennsylvania, just outside Scranton. So I'm assuming you've heard every office joke known to man, right? By this point,
I have, and I have not seen one episode. So
That's impressive.
That's really
Isn't it?
That's your biggest accomplishment right there.
I actually think it is, to be honest. I have not seen one episode, and I actually don't plan on it. So
I don't
everybody else
blame
can
you.
tell me how cool it is.
So what takes you to Louisville outside of 4th Street? I mean, Louisville's a fun time, great campus, but 4th Street, outside of that, what brought you down to Louisville?
Man, 4th Street Live. I think if you just go outside of like the University of Louisville, I think like Churchill Downs, just like the Derby, all the things that go into that, which is coming up here soon, I think in the next couple of weeks. But no, I just like Louisville. It felt like home when I went, to be honest. I know it's so cliche and everybody says it, but it really truly felt like home. So they've got the best women's basketball fan base, arguably in the entire country, which I loved. And I wanted that. Their facilities are second to none. So like fans, facilities, and then just, you have to feel like you would want to live there. You'd want to spend your time in that city, in that town, wherever you're going to end up going outside of basketball. And I felt all that stuff. So it was a no brainer for me. It felt like home, and I just knew I wanted to be there.
Sure. You were part of that 2009 tournament team where you guys fell to UConn in the championship game. What was that like, kind of getting to play in a national championship and to just realize that you're going up against this great UConn team who obviously so dominant and has been so electric for so many years? What is that experience like, walking into the arena knowing that you're taking on the best of the best?
Well, I played in the old Big East. So like basically now the ACC, all the teams that were in the Big East when I played, like it wasn't like any other team probably playing UConn. Like when we played them in that national championship, that was the 4th time we played them that year.
Okay.
So they were in our league. We played
That's
UConn.
rough.
we played. Yeah, that's actually my claim to fame, is not playing in the national championship that year. It was losing to UConn 4 times in one season. Like, I think that's a record. But, we played in the Big East. So we played UConn at home. We played them on the road in the regular season. So that's twice. We played them in the Big East championship game. So that was 3 times. And then we saw them again in the national championship. So we played them 4 times that season.
Wow.
So for us, it wasn't like, ooh, you're going out to play UConn. It was like, dang, again, like, come on, bro. Like,
Give us somebody new.
Like, yeah, for real. But for us, it was really, really cool for that national championship game. I know we went out and we got smacked, but like, I just tell people all the time, like, that I think that was arguably the best UConn team of all time. I mean, that year, that 2009 team that won the Final Four, I would put them up against any team he's ever had at UConn. I mean, you got Tina Charles, Renee Montgomery, Maya Moore, Kalena Green, Tiffany Hayes, Caroline Doty. Like, are you kidding me? That's the best team that's ever put on a UConn uniform. Like, we got smacked by 40 in the national championship game, and we were the second best team in the country. That was the heyday of like those teams, and I have no shame in losing that game, because there's men's teams that wouldn't beat that squad. I'm telling you right now, like they were insanely good that year.
Yeah. Can you talk to us a little bit about the grind of playing in a tournament, going from the round 1 all the way to the national championship? I mean, playing 2 games and hopping on a flight, going back to school, and flying back to where you're playing and played 2 more games. And as a fan, it's hard to keep track of, let alone as a player. I can only imagine it's incredibly confusing and exhausting.
Yeah. We didn't go back to school, so we were hopping on a flight, getting to the next location, hopping on another flight, getting to the next location. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we had a pass for like the month of school that we missed. So no, it's basketball from start to finish, and you honestly like you're in such a whirlwind. And I think I really was intentional about really taking it in and really making sure I appreciated every single stop. And I don't think a lot of people do that. I think a lot of people are just flying by the seat of their pants and on to the next game. Well, if you lose, there is no next game. So, really embrace what you're doing and be in the moment. And looking back, it was such a magical ride. Like, the stars aligned for us so perfectly with how the brackets came out, the matchups, how confident we were with our strengths versus the other schools that we were playing. Like, it really, really, the stars did align for us, and I'm so thankful for it. It was just a whirlwind. You feel like a celebrity everywhere you go. I mean, it's just insane, and that ride, I'll remember it forever. I truly, truly will. I remember that entire month to this day, everything we did, everywhere we went, every place we ate, every hotel we stayed in. Like, I remember it all, and I'm thankful for that.
Sure. I mean, looking at that bracket from that year, I mean, it was Liberty, LSU, Baylor, then Maryland. That's a tough stretch, especially from the Sweet 16 on. Especially
oh my gosh,
those Maryland squads were incredible, both men's and women's at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had to beat LSU at LSU, right? There was like 10,000 people there. We had to beat LSU at LSU. Liberty was no scrub in the opening round. So we beat Liberty. Then you got to beat LSU at LSU, which was so tough. That was a grinded out game. Then we got to beat Baylor in the Sweet 16, who, like, Kim had them rolling. Then we beat Baylor. Then you got to go play Christy Tolliver, Marissa Coleman, Brenda Freeze in the Elite Eight, and then we beat them. Then you got to go play the Paris twins in the Final Four, who guaranteed a national championship that year, which I'm still waiting on them to pay back their scholarships, by the way, because
I forgot about that.
They made that promise, and that didn't come out.
That was big news. I remember that. I remember when that happened. That was,
I'm like, do we get this money since we beat them? Yeah, like, do we get this money, or does that go to the NCAA? Where does that money go?
Sure.
So,
well, you would have gotten penalized for taking that money, just so we're clear.
Yeah, at that time we would have, right? I missed out on all this payment and all that type of stuff. But no, I mean, I think we had a really, really hard path. If you just look on paper at all the teams that we played, like, man, to beat any one of those, let alone all of them on your way. Like I said, the stars aligned, and it was who was playing the best ball at that time, and who was the most confident, who was the most prepared, and it was us by far.
So a while back, we were at the MAC Media Day in Detroit for football, and we talked to Coach Hammock from NIU. And I'm going to ask you the same question I asked him. He was a running back there back in the 90s. And with NILs then, if he could have had one, what he would have wanted to endorse? When you're playing NILs, what would you have wanted to endorse as a player?
Oh.
He
I wore a
said Buffalo
headband.
Wild Wings.
I was like one of the only people that wore like a headband at that time. I think I would have done
Okay.
like a little headband deal with somebody. I think I would have
Okay.
had to for sure.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He,
Either that or like one of my favorite food spots on campus. I would have just wanted
Sure.
the free food. So
That's what he said. He said Buffalo Wild Wings. That's
Yeah.
what he wanted.
He was
Definitely.
bragging about his ability on how he could put away some wings and sponsor a few places. So that's we're always curious whenever we talk to people what they feel they could have sponsored. So that's headbands and food. I like it. Food's a consistent
Yeah,
answer.
I think I missed out. I missed out on some good money. I really feel like I'm marketable, I really feel like I could have just cashed in for sure.
Sure. I mean, you see, and it's so great now. I mean, especially within the women's division of basketball, those two twins who just committed to Miami from Fresno State, and they're taking over the globe on social media with endorsement deals and whatnot. It's incredible what they've done in this short amount of time.
Oh, it's crazy. Now they're just using basketball as a tool to help them grow their NIL stuff and like, hey, you can't blame them, right? Like
Not at all.
Good business move.
Not at all. So, Alex, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about that 3-point competition because there was a Toledo girl in that.
Yes, I do. So my junior year of college, I think this may have been your senior year. You participated in the State Farm 3-point shootout at the Final Four against one of my favorite players from Toledo, Courtney Ingersoll. You finished as a runner-up. What was that experience like, kind of getting to go and shoot against these other girls from all across the country? That had to be really cool.
Yeah. First of all, Courtney's awesome. I'm still in touch with her to this day. So
Cool.
we hit each other up on social media every now and then. So she's awesome. And no, it was just like, I remember when I got the phone call to go shoot in that, like you're talking about the 8 best 3-point shooters in the country that get called to go do that. And I was just super honored and humbled and just like, I was like, wow, like this is a really, really cool opportunity because so much of basketball is team accolades, right? And just team stuff. And for you to be recognized at the end of your senior year as being one of the top 8, shooters in the entire country, that was like one of the things that stood out to me. Like, wow, this is a really cool to be recognized for this. But when I tell you I played in front of 22,000 people at the KFC Center multiple times. I started almost every game of my career. I was in some really, really high pressure situations to make shots. When I tell you that was the most nervous I have ever been in my basketball life was before like that first round of that shootout. Like, I'm not kidding. My heart was beating through my chest because it's like the camera's literally just on you shooting for an entire minute, just you. And they're just talking about you the whole time. So I've been in some really, really like really high level situations as a basketball player. And I've never been more nervous than I was for that shootout. That's the truth. I remember how I felt. I felt like I was going to puke before that thing.
Sure.
It was crazy.
So you talk about, your 3-point shooting accuracy was incredible. Is that something you were just kind of developed young and just continued to develop, or something you kind of found a knack for? You just threw it up and it went in, or do you just kind of how did that work for you?
I think, yeah, obviously I think it was some God-given ability, but then you have that and what do you do with it? Right. Like, I think I shot close to 40%. Like I was like a 38% 3-point shooter because I worked on my craft. I might've been a 30% 3-point shooter naturally, but then what separates you and how do you bring yourself to that elite tier and that elite level? And that's hundreds and thousands of shots and thousands and thousands of hours. Because I knew, I have to do something and I have to do it at a very, very, very high level if I want to be on the floor and I want to help my team. And I knew what I did and I made sure I did that really, really well and that there was nobody that was going to do it better than me. And so, at the Power 5 level at a place like Louisville, you're getting recruited over every single year. So I made sure that I never lost a sprint. I was in the best shape of anybody on our team and that I was not going to miss shots. So that's fine, Jeff. You can bring a McDonald's All-American in after me every single year, but like, I'm still going to play. You are going to have no choice but to have me on the floor. And that was my mentality for 4 years. And that's what it became. He had to play me and I never gave him a reason to not have me on the floor. And that was just my mindset towards it.
Sure. Like you said, you survived the 4 years. I mean, you did something right, I guess, right?
Yep. I'm alive and breathing. So here we are.
And I want to go back to that 3-point contest real quick because I've always been intrigued, like with MLB All-Star games and the NBA dunk contest, 3-point contest. When you're sitting on the bench watching the other athletes go, are you watching them? Are you watching their technique? Or are you just kind of just chatting up with the people next to you, having a good time? A little bit of both.
Oh, I'm so highly competitive. I was like, what'd she get? What'd she get? What was her score? What was her score? Got to beat that. Got to beat that. And I will say to this day, Ashley Corral beat me in the final. And I tell her this to this day. I only lost the final because I was hot. I was really, really hot in the semis. I only lost the final because we went to commercial break, which was like 7 minutes. And then I had to shoot second. So Ashley got to shoot first right out of the commercial break, where my semifinal round was my best round. So by the time I shot in the semis to when I shot in the finals, it was like something crazy, like 14 minutes or something like that. Mm-hmm. So needless to say, I bricked every shot. I was cold as heck, and I couldn't make anything in the final round. But I was like, if I shot first out of that commercial break, I truly feel like I would have won.
So if we called Ashley up right now and said, we want a 3-point contest between the two of you, who wins it?
Me.
Okay.
I've been waiting for revenge. I would love for you to schedule that. I've been waiting for revenge for about 10 years now. So,
I mean, hey, we can make something happen here.
You got her contact. We'll host it for you. We'll make it happen.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
We've we talked about your limited amount of time, but are you still trying to get shots up in the gym every chance you get, or have you kind of just moved on to the coaching and the recruiting and just kind of letting the girls do their thing now?
I'll mess around and we'll go out and I'll get shots up every now and then. I'm really into like fitness and just like health and lifting weights and stuff like that. So sometimes if I need cardio and I'm just like over the treadmill or something, I'll just go down and get on the gun for a little bit and just get a sweat going. But I'll tell you what though, the first thing you lose is your handles. I cannot dribble to save my life right now. And then I think the jumper stays for a while because I'm still decent.
Sure. I mean, you've only been really removed from the game not that long, so I think you probably still got there and ball out. Yeah,
I could still get after it a little bit. Right. Yeah, I like to think so.
No, are you a coach that likes to get competitive during practice, and you may get in for a set or two and show these girls how it's done, or do you like to sit behind and watch everything develop?
Just depends on my mood, on the time of season, on like there's at least 2 times a year where I hop in and I do the whole 2-hour practice. Like,
oh wow.
Because I think you just got to be selective about when you do it and what message you're trying to send. You know what I mean? Sure. Like put me in a rebounding drill and there's going to be bruises and blood. And cause if we got to get tougher, I'm hopping in that thing. And then also they'll never turn down an opportunity to like hit their coach. Right. Sure. Like just go bang and bruise with their coach. Like, oh, an opportunity to go box her out. I'll take that all day.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic. So I guess you obviously, this is your first stint in the MAC. I'll kind of go back to the coaching side of it since we're kind of moving that direction again. This being your first stint in the MAC, do you have any places that you're looking forward to kind of coaching at, or any teams you're looking forward to coaching against? Obviously, I'm a Toledo guy. AJ's a Ball State guy. So I have a certain love for Toledo and what Trisha Cullip has done here. But do you have any teams that you're really looking forward to kind of cutting your teeth on in the conference?
All of them. I mean, all of them. There's not like I got a bullseye on a certain team or another. Like every time we step foot on the floor, I don't care if they're last place or first place, like we're going to try to win that basketball game. I just love going on the road in general. So I'm really just looking forward to seeing everybody's facilities and kind of, you do the eye test, like you're comparing as you travel and things like that. But like bottom line is every time we lace them up and we go out there for 40 minutes, we're trying to win a basketball game. So I know there's traditionally been the teams that have been up at the top of the league and the bottom of the league. Like as far as I'm concerned, any conference games are going to be a 40-minute battle, and you can't take any of them for granted. So I think we'll form our own little rivalries as we go and you feel some type of way about one team or another. But as of right now, I respect everybody. I definitely respect, Ball State and Toledo and what those two have done there at those two places. And I'm just really looking forward to meeting everybody for one, introducing myself, checking out everybody's kind of set up facilities, campuses. But at the end of the day, we're pulling the bus up for a business trip. We're going to try to win the game and then leave. That's what we're going for sure.
Something I wanted to loop back on, and it just came to my mind. So I apologize. What's it like now looking at people who were coaches when you were a player? What's it like to call them a colleague now? Like that's gotta be a little surreal.
Oh, for sure. It is. It truly is. Like I'm looking forward to like Trisha. I'm really looking forward to meeting her. And I know Brady's been at Ball State for a minute, probably almost as long as since I've been playing. But again, I feel so fortunate and I feel blessed. And I think I'll always look at those people as like look up to them in a sense, and look at them as mentors and people that I really am going to strive to be like, because to be in this profession for that long and have the success that they've had, you got to be doing something right. And you're really, really fortunate to be able to do it for this long and stay at a place and sustain success like they have. So, no, I'm humbled, but to be in the same conversation as these guys now. And it's just like, again, you just have those moments where you pinch yourself like, wow, this is really my reality. And yeah, I think I've worked really hard for it, but I also think I'm very, very lucky.
Sure. Yeah, we had Trisha on about a year and a half, 2 years ago.
2020, yeah, during the
2020.
pandemic.
Okay. Yeah, just from this short conversation with you, I think you're gonna like each other.
Yes.
Yeah, I like to think so. I'm really looking forward to meeting her.
Yeah, just to pick her mind about basketball, it's incredible. Because I mean, she played at Purdue. She talked to us about being recruited by Muffet McGraw at Notre Dame and those stories. And it's like she's a fun conversation. So I think you'll really like getting to know her.
Yeah, definitely.
When you're not trying to beat her, of course. That's
right. That's right.
Now, did I read this correctly? You played overseas for a little while?
I did. I played in Poland and I played in China for a hot minute.
What's that?
I realized pretty quickly that I didn't want that to be my life. So
no. I can imagine that's gotta be a tough transition.
Yeah, I think I was thinking like pandas and like Great Wall of China and like all these things that you see online.
Being a tourist, right?
And that was not my reality when I got there. So I think I needed to be humbled very quickly, and I definitely was.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And then it brought you to coaching. So I guess at what point in your career did the coaching bug, kind of get to you?
When I came back from overseas, I knew I wanted to be in basketball in some capacity, and I just didn't know what. And I had an opportunity to start my master's and be on the director of operations side at Cal State Fullerton. And so I just really took that year to say like, okay, I'm going to be in all the coaches meetings. I'm going to be in on all these conversations, practice planning, scouting reports, all these things, and just test the waters and see if I like this. And this is something I want to pursue. And at the end of that year, the answer was yes. And it kind of went from there.
And it took you to Rensselaer.
Took me to Rensselaer, where it took me, Orange County, California to Rensselaer, Indiana. Can't really get too drastically different than those two places.
Gosh, no. I still laugh at that because like I said, I've been there. I've grew up here in Indiana. It's like, wow, that's
the Joe, the good old Joe.
The Joe, yes. They had a little student coffee shop on there. It was like called Java Joe's or something like that.
Oh yeah.
I went to. Oh yeah, I did a football recruiting trip there, so we got to do all those little things. And I mean, I think the football stadium had like wooden benches still. This was 2009, 2010. So yeah, there wasn't much to it. I think my high school was nicer than what they had.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I just so we just closed on a really nice townhouse, and I'm just really just feeling super just thankful for the things that I have these days. And I really truly the other day had a flashback moment of St. Joe's, talk about humble beginnings. I literally lived on campus in the dorms. I was on the meal plan, and I was making 15 grand a year. To think that that's where I literally started, living with my players in the dorms to where I am now. And just buying this home here in Buffalo. I just feel it's crazy. It's full circle, and it makes you just feel super fortunate,
It was a dorm with no air conditioning and
literally no air. Yeah. I was eating with my players in the cafeteria on the meal plan. It was just insane. It was insane. And you just do what you have to do when you start to get your foot in the door, because if this is truly what you want to do, you're going to find a way to get in and grind and work your way up. And, it's really, really cool to think back to that type of stuff.
Absolutely. And I mean, it seems like St. Joe's a good place, or was a good place to start. I mean, yourself, Coach Lester, and then a lot of the names that he mentioned. So it's a good place to start.
It's got to have something in the water there, obviously.
Absolutely. And I was bummed to see they closed in 2012 or something like that. 2012, 2013. But I think they're coming back doing some classes there. But outside of that, just a campus anymore. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a good place.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do one more here. We ask every guest we have from the conference this question: what's the MAC mean to you? Well, you're new to the conference, but I want to ask you this instead. I want to ask you, what does basketball mean to you?
Oh, basketball means everything to me. It's been so much of who I am and what I am my entire life, and it's provided me opportunities to everything in my life, and every opportunity that I've had that has nothing to do with basketball has everything to do with it. The people that you meet through this sport, the connections that you make, the like what you find out about yourself, who you are through your journey of life. So much of it comes from basketball and just what you learn through this game. So just me, just throughout my life, just figuring out who I am, what I want out of life, who I want to be, what are the goals and my dreams and my wishes, like even off the floor, have all come from what basketball has given me. It's helped me, in my family life, in my personal life, and obviously in my professional life. But man, basketball, without it, I don't know what it would have felt like to just be done after college and just it just not be in my life anymore. I think that's why a lot of people get started in coaching. It's just because we can't really figure out what we want to be or what we want to do without this game that's given us so much throughout our lives. And so now I feel like I'm in a position that I can give back to it for everything that it's given to me, all the opportunities that's thrown my way, everything it's set me up for in my professional life, my personal life, the lessons I've learned through it. Now I get to be that for my players. Now I get to be that on the coaching side. So it's really a full circle thing for me. It's basketball is everything to me in my life. And now I'm actually on the other side of it where I get to give back and teach my players and mentor them and guide them and show them like what they can get out of it as well.
Sure. I mean, I think Buffalo's going to fall in love with you really quickly.
Yeah.
I think you're going to be very successful up there. We're very, very excited to watch you. It's going to be a lot
Well,
of fun.
thank you guys. I appreciate it. I really appreciate that.
I've been to Buffalo once, and Alex and I are planning on making a trip up there soon. We've never been to campus, so we're going to try to make a trip up there this summer at some point and check it out and hopefully connect with you, check out your facility, and go from there and maybe smash some wings at some point.
Let's do it. You guys,
down.
yes, text me, call me, let me know when you guys are
Yeah.
planning to come up. We'll spend some time together for sure.
We'll do
For
it.
sure. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Coach. It was a great honor getting to hear from you, hear your vision, hear your excitement to start this new chapter at Buffalo. We're really looking forward to seeing what you do on the court and off the court up at Buffalo. It's going to be a great time. Thank you for taking your time tonight to join us and chop it up a little bit. We definitely appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Go Bulls.
Go Bulls. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. AJ, I think that's going to about do it for us. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
See you.